Thank you for joining us on Salt and Pepper Unleashed. This ain't your grandma's nursing home. Today's conversation is especially timely as our community continues to grow, evolve, and invest in its future. We're joined by Chris Romick and Hannah Brown, two key members of the GVS team who are closely involved in welcoming future residents to the Village Flats and aiding them during the selections process. Together, they help guide residents through what can feel like a big, sometimes overwhelming set of decisions while keeping clarity, support, and resident experience at the center of it all. Chris, Hannah, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Obviously, we work together every day, but for folks, our viewers, our listeners that don't, really excited to kind of dive in and get some insights from each of you throughout the process here. So let's start off with each of you sharing about your roles, how you're involved with the Village Flats expansion project, and then what it means to you personally to be a part of a project that is truly shaping the future of Greenwood Village South.
I am the sales and marketing coordinator here at Greenwood Village South. So I work with people on their selections for their new homes and with their transition to the community. This expansion project is a great thing for our community and for the city of Greenwood as we're kind of committed to meeting the needs of our growing senior population. And it also will provide future and current residents with top-notch amenities in our new 30,000 square foot Commons building.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Chris, let's hear from you. What about you? What's your insights?
Sure. Well, my role here is sales and marketing director. That's my title, which pretty much involves supporting the team and everyone else here, getting the word out as to, what is Greenwood Village about? What is the expansion going to be? So there's a lot of questions. This community's been here a long time, and there's still folks that don't know we're here. Yeah. So that is a big part of what I've been working on, and have a great team to support that. And we're doing well getting the message out and bringing people in to see what we have.
Absolutely. I've shared this multiple times in conversations over the years, and I've heard from folks, man, Greenwood Village South is Johnson County's best kept secret. Mm-hmm. And as a marketing mind, it's painful to hear that because you don't want to be a secret. And Chris and I, we had a very recent conversation, and it's like just the awareness, getting the word out, making everyone know who we are, where we are, what we do, and kind of where we're going, and doing a phenomenal job at that. So I know our current residents are extremely appreciative of that, and I know future residents are as well because they may not have known otherwise. But Chris, let's stick with you. Why don't you take us through explaining the different components of this expansion project and how they support the long-term strength and stability of Greenwood Village South?
Sure, yeah. Like many other communities across the country, we're dealing with a newer, aging population, the boomers particularly. And with that, there's different wants, needs, desires that come with that. It's very different from the silent generation that came before them. So this project, this expansion is really meeting that need head on. 30,000 square foot commons clubhouse type building that's going to be basically the heartbeat of the community when it's done. Think of it as a town center sort of. That building will have a new aquatic center, swimming pool, locker rooms, with fitness center, group exercise area, outdoor area for exercising and games such as pickleball and so forth, as well as a performing arts center that can house a large group for banquets or even entertainment, concerts, that type of thing. Beauty and barber salon, that'll be new library space, and multiple arts and crafts areas that our residents have many different talents and still desire to paint and sculpture and do many other things that keep them busy. And then on top of that, we are adding another dining venue. Our food is very on point here. We do a great job, and having another venue to offer that with a different style menu is is really exciting for us to have.
I think it's interesting is, Greenwood Village South, I've been saying 6 decades, but we're inching closer to 7 decades, as we get closer to that midpoint there. But 1962, we've changed and we've evolved and constantly. And what I think is interesting with this 30,000 square foot commons building and new amenity space that both of you have referenced is we have a lot of those amenities currently, but some of them we don't have. And so some of these amenities are brand new to the community, brand new to the market, but some of them are just wildly improved from what they currently are and exist. And so I think I'm excited because this is something that not only future residents are going to benefit from wildly, our existing residents are going to experience the positive impact of this. And I think that's so cool. And Chris, I want to stick with you because, our viewers don't know this, but you have expansive experience in senior living. And I'm sure you've seen kind of the full spectrum of communities that lean into the wants and needs and desires of future generations and the ones who say, well, this is working, kind of, let's just stick to it. What's the difference in kind of that mindset of communities of kind of that stagnation versus let's always be pushing ourselves to be better?
Yeah, absolutely. The whole, I say, industry across the country and around the world, we're dealing with folks that want more activity. And if you're not meeting that desire, then they're going to go somewhere else that does. So a community can be very successful, but every so often, every community needs to go through a renewal cycle, per se, where, hey, what don't we have that people want? What are people really striving in life to have? And exercise, for instance, many years ago, communities may have had a very small exercise room with a couple donated weight machines and a bicycle, a stationary bicycle. That's not the case nowadays. We have folks that work out 7 days a week. They run, they lift weights, which is beneficial for everyone because the community becomes more active. And with that health aspect, people live longer. They're healthier. They have less morbidity. So that's just an example of one area. And dining is another big example. It's not a cafeteria. It's not here's your 2 choices for the day and your carton of milk type thing. It is a sit-down dining experience, and you actually get to choose every day. Do I want, do I want the steak and shrimp, or do I just want soup and salad? So the flexibility of the dining programs are huge, and that's just another example of, how we're adjusting to the modern retiree.
Yeah, you kind of struck a chord with me. My first role in senior living was director of health and wellness at a senior living community, right. And you literally just described what I walked into. It was a room in the basement of this community that was equipped with equipment that was given when residents moved in. And you can tell this equipment was the stuff that they bought off of QVC and other things like that. That they had the hip flexor where you put the thing in between, and they had some wild machines in there. And it was like, this is not what our residents want, what they need, or what they can benefit from. And so I think it's amazing. We have residents, like you said, they run, resistance. We've got mat yoga. We've got bar classes. It literally, fitness, wellness can be just about anything you want it to be. And here we really embrace that. And so I think that's awesome that I feel like we're already doing a phenomenal job at that. And we're saying, let's dial it up a little bit. So pretty cool. So Hannah, when residents hear the word selections, it can feel both, I'm sure, overwhelming, but also very exciting. How would you describe that process, and what kinds of choices do residents make, or new residents, what they should expect to be making, and how do you keep them from feeling overwhelmed and focused on that kind of the excitement?
Yeah, so definitely with the flats specifically, selection wise, these residents have their choices to choose anywhere from their countertops to electrical placement. So although it's not a customized home, it is very personalized based on the palettes we're able to show them and kind of see what goes with what they would like. Emotionally with these people, I think it's important that they remember their memories that they had in their home and that they're not losing those memories. And coming here, kind of switching that to say, well, think of all the good memories you can make here, and with the opportunities Greenwood Village provides for them and helps them kind of grow and become more comfortable.
Yeah. It's funny. As you both know, I have kind of a sit down conversation with every new resident after they've kind of got settled in. And sometimes it takes a couple weeks, sometimes it takes a couple months. But what I find interesting is almost always it's like the pressure has been lifted, the weight's been lifted off their shoulders of the stuff, because now they're like, well, my cottage is my home, my flat is my home, my apartment is my home, and I've got the biggest living room I've ever had. I've got the biggest dining room I've ever had, because all of those amenity spaces are their spaces. And it's like, well, I have my home, but I get the benefit of all this other stuff. And it's like I feel like they have to live that experience to fully appreciate it. And you're kind of that bridge from getting them to conceptual decision making to I'm transitioned and this feels awesome.
Yeah, I definitely think with the transition as they're coming in, having the different touch points we have in the community, different people kind of helping them comes a long way. And mostly I hear they wish they would have done it sooner. They were so nervous before all the things. And then once they're here, everything falls into place and feels like home.
Yeah. It's interesting. I hear that far too often because I'm like, well, if I'm hearing it that often, we need to be getting them in sooner.
Yeah.
They think I don't have to deal with the burden of everyday life. I can make a phone call and then forget about it. And I think once they realize that, they're like, you know what? Yeah, yard work wasn't so much fun after all. So jumping back over to you, Chris, kind of in the same conversation here, a lot of times when we're talking with potential future residents, they say, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready.
Right.
Oh, no, that's not for me. I'm still very active. How do you help future residents understand independent living at Greenwood Village South, what it really is, and how it actually it kind of catalyzes all of those perceived benefits that they currently have?
Right. Yes. It's kind of ironic. If I had a quarter for every time I've heard that over the years, I would be retired. So I think that's an initial response from many people. But what we found is over time, when our residents move in, and Hannah elaborated on it, is, should have done it earlier. Yeah. And it's kind of an oxymoron when that I'm not ready yet is always coming out there. And then after someone moves in, I should have done it earlier comes out. So we found that, communities like this, where we focus on the benefits of the lifestyle and support of having an active community around them, vibrant, I say people of the same thought process, maybe the same backgrounds, they live through the same era. That is huge in comparing living at home by yourself, or maybe your friends don't live around here anymore. Maybe some have passed away. You have a built-in community that is right outside your door when you live in Greenwood Village South. And that is just almost an intrinsic factor, but it's priceless. It is priceless to the folks that live here. And the thought of you're still active, why going there, it's an assumption that they're going to be less active. Mm-hmm. And that is a very wrong assumption.
Yeah.
And I use an example many times in communities, and I love this because it's such a compliment to a community, and Greenwood Village is no different. Shortly after a resident may move in, a family member might call and say, hey, I've been trying to get a hold of Mom, and she's not in her residence, and I can't reach her. And I'm like, I just usually smile behind the phone and say, yep, Well, I can tell you she's done this, this, this. I've seen her over here having dinner with the ladies. I've seen her at this event. She's active. She's engaged, and that's what it's about. So most folks moving into a community have way more activity and recreation engagement at their disposal than they do in a single-family home. Neighbors change, things get different, weather gets bad. In a community like this, it's always thriving. It's always alive.
It's interesting you say that. Live in a neighborhood, single family homes, and we know pretty much everyone on our street, and we're friends with everyone on our street. Outside of very proactive, efforts to get together, the most engagement we have is waving. Maybe when we're both in the driveway or respective driveways, and it's like, how much of an impact it has in a community like this, where it's kind of a melting pot of friendships and community and fellowship, where you can be as secluded and introverted and private as you want, but you don't have to try to be engaged. Simply stepping outside your door engages you so much. And so I think that's tremendous. One of my favorite, I'm sure you've heard this before as well, one of my favorite complaints that I've heard from so many residents here. Well, there's just too many things to do. I can't. Well, you've got this scheduled at the same time as I can't do this because I'm doing this. And I'm like, isn't that a great problem to have? And so we kind of chuckle about that. I'm like, if that is the worst problem that either of us have today, it's a good day. So I think that's great. Absolutely. So kind of, through the selections process, but now the moving process. And we kind of talked about this, just touched on it a little bit, but there's some emotional weight of leaving the kind of the home full of memories, or again, kind of that perception of that. And so, what are some specific strategies that you employ with, some of our partners that we work with residents as they're kind of right sizing and making sure they're pulling in the components of their last, 40 years of living in that single family home to where it is absolutely still their home, and they don't feel like they're leaving anything behind.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of great partnerships here that help with downsizing or giving them ideas on how to repurpose things to their families or do something. Because as hard as it is to get rid of something, knowing it goes to someone they love, that always helps. I think it's always just finding the person, seeing what their special thing is. Recently, we had a lady move in, and she had this beautiful mirror that she really wanted to bring over, and it was cracked and it was broken, and it just physically couldn't be moved. And what we were able to do is provide her with a picture of that mirror and put a picture of her grandkids in the mirror and put it in a frame. Oh, wow. So now she still has, this frame where she can look at and see that and have that memory there with it, but doesn't have the physical weight and wall space gone of that. So
and it's almost like that's enhanced even more as you added the grandchildren into that.
So just trying to find the ways, and as I meet with these people and finding what's special to them, you pick up on those different things. Grandkids, dogs, you don't know, whatever they like better. So
absolutely. It's interesting. You said this earlier, and I kind of chuckled. You said, well, it's not customized, but it's very personalized. Mm-hmm. Boy, it's about as custom as you can get without being custom. Yes. And so to that point, it's like you really do. It's like you dig in and find out what is the most important aspects, whether it's, the furnishings I'm bringing, the pictures I'm bringing, the selections I'm making to either, one, recreate the home that I'm leaving, or to create the home that I've always wanted. I feel like you do an amazing job at really diving in and understanding that every single resident, every single residence, and every single relationship is completely different. And you take that approach, and I think it serves our residents very, very well. So Chris, if someone is listening to this and thinking, wow, this sounds great, but I still got a few questions. Yeah. What would you encourage them to do next?
Yeah, and that's that's a big thing because it's a big step for folks to take that leap. And one thing I like to point out is most folks don't do this multiple times in their life. Yeah. This is a one-time event, one-time journey, and it's not like buying a car. You do it multiple times. So there's a lot to learn. It can be a learning curve. So one of the biggest encouragements is to start now. Don't wait until you need to do something like now I have an illness, I need to do it. That's not the time to start looking and learning. It's now. So you have a plan in place and you can look ahead. Here at GVS, we have multiple tools on our website, which I'm actually pretty proud of, that we're taking the leap and letting some folks kind of learn by themselves, One tool is called a money gauge calculator, where you can go in and enter your personal data by yourself, and it will calculate, based on what you enter, what is appropriate or what is in your budget or what matches with your budget at Greenwood Village South. So you're not having to, guess or hope or think that, well, can I afford that or can I afford this? Gives you a really good starting point, and that is one recommendation I give in the beginning. Also on the website, we have a cost comparison calculator. This one's always fun to get the results because what it does is it asks some questions about your personal living situation now and what it costs to live in that situation. Mm-hmm. Many folks forget about some of the expenses that are there until they have to pay for them, roof replacement, furnace maintenance, plumbing, but the basic things too, like your insurance, your taxes, anything that you pay on a regular basis, utilities, those type of things, trash removal. It adds all those up for you and then compares that total cost to, okay, this is what it would cost to live at Greenwood Village South for, on a monthly basis. And you compare those two, and most people are shocked that, wow, I'm spending that much now. Or often it's, hey, it would cost me less to live there with the meal programs and everything you offer than what I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it becomes a no-brainer that this is the right move to make.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. You said, kind of taking the leap and letting them learn on their own. I think that's very true because historically, I think there's been this stigma of understanding what pricing models look like in senior living and entry fee communities. And this gives folks an opportunity to very much so in their own psychologically safe mm-hmm. environment, understand, what residence would be ideal for them. What does my lifestyle look like today in my home compared to, when I move into Greenwood Village South? This is the one that, it's so hard to really pinpoint, but I wish we could calculate this because I feel this every day. What is the dollar value of not having to deal with anything, right? So you still pay for your utilities, you still pay for this, you still pay for that, but your washer and dryer goes out, which, by the way, I just got a text this morning from my wife. Washer's out. There's $2,200. Yeah. And so it's like not having to deal with that. The inconveniences, the burdens of life. It's almost like, I kind of joke around, and this isn't that far from the truth. But here it's our residents can dial the operator mm-hmm. and get Vicky, a 42-year tenured employee, and say, my washer's broke. Mm-hmm. I've got 2 lights out. Mm-hmm. I want to make reservations in the dining room, and I need to set up transportation for my doctor's appointment next week. And in one call, poof, yep. It's done. And you're not on hold, and you're not playing phone tag. And I'm just like, how much is that worth? Because I feel like you could probably get me on the hook for a good amount monthly fee for that type of service. And so I think it's great that one, we're providing that transparency and that clarity to really give people the opportunity to say, let me because I think sometimes that is the barrier, is just not knowing. Right. And to your point, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Do it when you want to, not when you have to.
Exactly.
Anytime that a decision is made for you, it doesn't feel nearly as good as when you have that autonomy, even if it is the same decision. And to your point, why in the world would you wait to enjoy all the amenities that we just talked about? It's like we have designed this community to benefit your lifestyle today when you want to, not when you need to later down the road. So with that, again, appreciate your insights so much, and also appreciate your efforts in, showing future residents what Greenwood Village South truly is, who we really are, and then obviously, making them residents of Greenwood Village South. So with that, we're going to close with our signature question. And so I'll let you decide what order you go in. But if you could be remembered for one thing, personally or professionally, what would it be and why?
For me, personally or professionally, I hope people remember me as dependable, compassionate, and somebody there who's always there to help or lend a hand, make life easier for them.
And you do that.
Thank you.
I'm making notes, and dependability, I feel like
Huge.
in 2026 is much more scarce than it was 5, 6, 10, 20 years ago. And knowing that, we have a team of folks that one, their responsibility is, moving residents and that level of dependability. I know Chris leans on that and values that, but I hope you understand how much residents and family members of residents really count on and value that as well.
Yep.
All right, up to me. Well, and I actually, thinking through this, it's professionally, I would love to be remembered as, helping redefine what retirement living looks like for the next generation. Taking it from what it was into this future era by elevating the standards of the communities and creating modern, vibrant, financially sound communities, which is very important. You don't just build these places and then let them just run in the ground. I mean, they have to be financially sound. So, putting that all that together and mixing it up and really providing something new and exciting for senior population is what I'd like to be remembered for.
Yeah. Well, and I think, again, just referencing the very recent conversation we had, just your affinity to leaning in and understanding or seeking to understand what people want and how information is consumed. I shared this with you, but it's no one else is doing that to the extent that I see you doing it on a regular basis. So I can't speak for everyone in the world, but I can tell you right now, that is absolutely kind of the primary kind of attribute that I would say that is Chris Romick's strength, is really kind of leaning in, gaining insights, and then saying, how do we apply those in real life to benefit existing and future residents? So sounds like you're both well on your way to those qualities. So again, I want to say thank you, not just for being on the show here today, obviously, but everything you do every day for all of our existing residents and all of our soon-to-be residents.
Right.
Come check us out, hit that money gauge and cost calculator and see what residents would be the best fit for you. So again, Chris, thank you. Hannah, thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Talk again soon.